It's decision time for Bitcoin. So, what is Bitcoin going to do next? Is it going to plow through this all-time high, or is it going to reject? Millions of traders around the world are looking, they're speculating, they're thinking, what is my next trade plan? Those who have bought Bitcoin from the last all-time high, those who have watched the whole bear market, they've held their bags, they've waited and waited and waited and waited. Their patience is finally paying off. They're about to see their portfolio potentially break even, which is good. All right, that's good. And the people who sold watched the bear market, didn't buy at this point, and now it's reversed on them. They're gutted, absolutely gutted. All right, so we're here to decipher what Bitcoin is going to do next. Is it going to plow through? Is it going to distribute? Or is it going to completely fumble on the way down? All right. Now, Bitcoin is doing a massive tear up. Look at this uptrend. Look at this bull trend bars. Bull trend bar. Look at a bit of resistance. Okay, range. Followed by some more bull trend bars. Now, we can see that this is a very, very, very strong, extremely strong uptrend. And these bull trend bars, what do they tell us? They tell us it's worth being cautious. It's a higher probability that when you have a bull trend bar like this that's filled all the way to the top, there's a higher probability that you have another bull trend bar that is also bullish. Okay, so just make sure you're cautious. Make sure you're not entering shorts. Make sure you're not entering silly shorts at this point, because you will get burned. And I'm sure a lot of people have already got burned. All right, what do I mean by that? Well, let's see what the price has been doing. Well, if you shorted here, you got burned. If you shorted here, you would have got burned. If you shorted up here, you would have got burned. All right, especially if you had no stop loss, you'd have got burned times 2. Okay, so let's make sure we're being cautious, especially if you're looking to enter a short. Now, what does Bitcoin look like on a global scale, and what are the options? Well, one of 3 things can happen, really and truly. One of 3 things can happen. On a monthly, it's undeniable that we are on a monthly downtrend. Okay, we've had a high, we've had a low, we've had a high, a break in structure, and this is the retracement leg. Although this is the most bullish retracement leg known to man. We expected a retracement that looks like this, something nice and gentle, and then further action down. That's what I've been preaching in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I've said in the last 4 or 5 weeks that this retracement can happen anywhere. It can happen here, and we've been planning on it happening in all of these zones. We had supply zones over there, we had supply zones over there, we had supply zones over up here. And what did Bitcoin have in mind? What did Bitcoin want to do? Bitcoin said, I am no respecter of these zones, and I'm going to blast straight through them. Okay? Which means now, the probability has changed. There is a higher probability, that Bitcoin at least retests these all-time highs. There is a higher probability that happens. Why is that? Look at the nature of these bars. These bars are full, these bars are strong, and these bars are bullish. Okay? Now, if we had bars that looked something like this. Let's say we had a bar looking like that. We had another bar looking like this, and not so bullish. And then we had another bar looking like this. Again, so not so bullish, so reducing in size. Okay. Now this would have been a healthier price action for the bears. This would have been what the bears looked at and said, you know what, we look to be getting a nice reversal over here. But that's not what we're getting. Maybe we thought that was what was going to happen here. We had this indecision candle, and perhaps that indecision candle, which is basically a 1-bar range, would have led to some downward action. But no, after that indecision, Bitcoin decided, you know what, let's double up. So Bitcoin went even more ferociously to the upside. So right now, we're watching the charts. We have an eyes peeled to see what Bitcoin is going to do next. But there are many things I want to make you aware of, just so you can plan your trades better, and so that you can benefit from the market and not get wrecked. Okay, so scenario number one, at this top, we could actually mark down. We could reject off this high, we could reject off this decisional supply zone. This is the last supply zone in Bitcoin's life. This is the only supply zone stopping Bitcoin from reaching its all-time high. This is the only obstacle, the only hurdle. Okay, so we could reject off this supply and plummet down. Still a possibility. Okay, still a possibility. Less likely, but still a possibility. Next, we could say, do you know what? I'm going to distribute here. I'm going to range here. And I'm going to range here. When I range here, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up or I'm going to go down. All right, so if we distribute at this region, it's worth looking at that range to see what the price action looks like, to decide whether we're going to break up or break down. And that could take us a while. If Bitcoin decides to do that could take us to around August, September. Or Bitcoin could say, you know what, I've had enough of this bear market. I'm going straight through. I'm blasting through the all-time highs. Okay? And in the case we do that, what are we looking for our next trade? We're not looking to enter here. That would be silly. We're looking for that retracement leg before we go further up. So we would be looking to enter your trade at least at that retest of the last, that last line, that resistance line, so to speak. That's what we'll be looking out for in terms of 3 scenarios that could play out. Now, there are a few things I need to make you aware of. Number one, if we analyze the previous bull market and the way Bitcoin rallied up, the way in which it's rallied up, we can see some similarities. All right, let's see if this is clearer on the 3-day. Maybe clearer on the 3-day. Yes, perhaps it's clearer on the 3-day. So we can see some similarities. Now, what are those similarities? All right, similarity number one, Bitcoin ranges. Bitcoin tears up, creating lots of inefficiency. Bitcoin tears up, creating lots of inefficiency. All right, that takes us all the way up. And then Bitcoin creates another range, a consolidation period. Bitcoin consolidates again. And then it does that final tear up. Is that what we're currently seeing, that final tear up? That is something to be aware of. And the next thing to be aware of is when we did all of that action, we can see that Bitcoin produced this sensational sell-side liquidity. We had stop losses over here, of all these people who thought Bitcoin was going to 100K. And what are we seeing at the moment in terms of the buyers and sellers in the market? We are seeing a similar thing. We have similar liquidity building up. Now, what do we know about liquidity? Liquidity gets run. So what did Bitcoin do after it got there? All the way back in March 2021, Bitcoin decided to form a range, it distributed, and then it ran that liquidity. So what could Bitcoin do over here? It could form a range and then run that liquidity. Okay? Now, in the case that it runs those liquidity, you need to be looking at old demand ranges to see where the reaction points may be. So this could be a reaction point over here. That could be a reaction point over there. Okay? So that's another thing to be aware of. Now, the next thing to be aware of is Bitcoin seems to not respect these old demand ranges on the way up. Now, what do I mean by that? We range, we form all these inefficiencies, lack of respect. We range, we form all these inefficiencies, lack of respect. We range, we form all these inefficiencies, lack of respect. We range, we form all these inefficiencies, lack of respect. What does respectful price action do? Respectful price action does this. It ranges, it marks up, but it comes back to test that range before it continues. Ranges, marks up, comes back to test that range before it continues. So when we have all these gaps in the market, all these gaps that are not being revisited, that's quite worrying. What does that mean? That means as easy as it's gone up, it can easily go down. Remember, easy up, easy down, easy down, easy up. So what we want is more steady price action. And that's obviously what we are not getting at the moment. So in terms of our local trades and our trades for the week and our trades for the next week, what are we looking out for? What are the next trade ideas? Where are the interesting areas to look for trades? Well, we are in a strong bull trend, and in a bull, be careful. In a bull, do not enter on the first entry. In a bull, turn off YouTube and do not listen to the millions and millions and millions of influencers saying long Bitcoin, long Bitcoin, long Bitcoin. Do not do that, all right? Otherwise, you stand to lose a lot of your stack and a lot of your earnings. So what are my trades? What am I looking out for in the next week? Well, in the next week, let's zoom in. If we look on the 4 hour, let's see, what is Bitcoin doing on the 4 hour? Well, on the 4 hour, if we just simply draw that trend, we have our clear uptrend that we are seeing at the moment. We could count that, but I'm not going to count that. Why? Because that's an inside bar. So our 4 hour uptrend looks like this. What does that mean? That means we cannot really and truly be bearish until we break this level. Until we break this level of around 50,260. We can't really be bearish. So we have to wait and see what Bitcoin does. What does that mean? Bitcoin can retrace all the way down here and still keep bullish action. So on a 4 hour, we can't really be bearish until we reach that level. Now, in the case that we do come back down and break that level, I will be looking for a retracement and entering on that retracement leg. So I'm looking to enter a short right about there. To ride that down to about 30k I'll be looking to do. Okay, so that's what we're looking at on the local time frame. In the meantime, we have this range. We have some demand range over here, and we have our old demand range over here, which you can't see on the 4 hour, but I'm sure you can see that on the 1 hour. Yeah, so there we have it. On the 1 hour, we can see our demand ranges over here. They are old ranges. Now these are reaction points. These are reaction points that Bitcoin could come down to retest. And in the case it comes down to retest, these are points you should be looking for a change in market structure. If you see something like that, where it goes from bearish to bullish, enter on that retracement leg and look to at least ride that up all the way to the range high. So that's what I'm looking at. Now this 4 hour leg does look very bullish, so be careful as I say. Do not enter on the first entry. Wait for your second entry. Wait for your retest of the range higher before you look to enter your short, if you're planning to enter a short. To enter a long, wait for that retracement leg back into demand before you enter that long. Okay? So that's trade number one. Trade number two. Trade number two may take a while before we see. Alright? Now what's happening on a very local scale? On a very local scale, well, let's take a look. If I can get rid of that first. Let's see if we can get rid of that. There we go. Okay, so on a local scale, perhaps let's go on a 1 hour. Let's see what's happening. Let's get rid of that as well. We are at supply. We are at this decisional supply. And what has Bitcoin done? Bitcoin has said, you know what? I'm going up, 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 up. Touches that supply, reacts off the supply, comes down. Okay, and this is where we're currently at. Now, what does this mean? This means that we have formed another range. We have our range high, we have our range low. So this is essentially another range. So within this range, we are looking for our trades, of course. Where are we looking for our trades? Well, I will be looking for a trade, a long and a short at the range extremes. So my range extreme looks like it's up here. So I will be looking for a short from that range high to ride that down. I will be looking for a long at that range low to ride that up. Okay, whichever happens first, I don't really care, but it looks like the short may happen first. Now, how do I know when to enter that trade or not? Well, I'm looking at the price action. I'm observing the price. I'm looking at this decisional leg as Bitcoin goes up. As it goes up, let's see if there's going to be a break in structure. Okay, so this is where we get up to at the moment. If we see a break in structure, what do I mean by a break in structure? Is if, as we approach this level, we wick this high, so take out the high with a wick, not a close. We get back into our range. That's a good sign that yes, this short may play out. And then if we get a retracement, I will be looking to enter on that retracement. But on that retracement leg, if you wanted to be more secure, if you wanted to be more careful, you could also look at the market structure in that retracement leg to see how is price coming up on that retracement. Are we getting a break-in structure on that retracement? Now, if we get a break-in structure on that retracement as well, let's make that 2 and make that black. A break-in structure, what does that look like? Well, that looks like going from printing higher highs and higher lows, lower highs and lower lows. We can then look to enter on the retracement leg of that break-in structure. This is what we call a reconfirmation. So we have reconfirmed are already confirmed buyers. It's a reconfirmation. So that's what I'm looking for as far as my next trades go. A short from the range high and a long from the range low. Remember, buy low, sell high. We are at the premium of this range, so we're looking for shorts. When we get to the discount, we're going to be looking for longs. All right. Of course, we have all these levels below us. We've got this demand zone below us. That's also worth looking at. Okay. Now, I do have an unfamiliar take for many of you, and that take is as follows. Is Bitcoin printing a PO3 at the moment? Are we getting a power of 3? Now, what is a power of 3? A power of 3 is as follows. It's where you have an accumulation that takes place, followed by a range, okay? And after this range, we get an expansion that comes down. So accumulation, we range for a bit, then we expand down. Now, Bitcoin loves to do this. Bitcoin has been doing this for a while, since the beginning of Bitcoin, okay? So let's see, let's look at some instances where Bitcoin has done this. Let's have a look. So let's see, if we just look at my actual channel, I'm sure we've got many instances of Bitcoin. There we go. So we've got one over there. So the Holy Trinity, power of 3. So Bitcoin did this on the 5th of February. All right, this was on a 4-hour actually. Well, it shows on a 12-hour, but you can see on a 4-hour as well. And you can see this in your price section. Bitcoin distributed or accumulated, whichever you prefer. We had some manipulation or a little range, whichever you prefer. And then you had an expansion. And this expansion is what we're seeing at the moment. This expansion is taking us all the way up. Okay. Now, let's see where else we may have seen this in this channel. Okay, that looks familiar. Okay, let's see. If we play this, let's see. I'm not sure if it works. Well, this is not the same one. This is a different one. So here we had a similar thing. We had, if I just rewind that, we had accumulation. We had accumulation, manipulation, expansion. All right. So Bitcoin loves to do this. And is that what's taking place now? Even is that what's taking place now? You know, is this our accumulation? Let's put that in green. Okay. Was this our manipulation, the bottom of the bull market? And are we seeing, well, we are, an expansion? Let's put that in blue. All right, is that what we're seeing at the moment? Okay, and if that is, well, it is, to be honest. Now, as far as the break goes, in the case, there is one case where we break through the all-time highs, yet it be bearish. What does that mean? So we break through the all-time highs, a lot of people get excited, and then we drop. What might that look like? Well, that looks like this. If this whole thing becomes accumulation, right? If it's then followed by manipulation, so we get some price action over here where we just range at the top. And if that manipulation is then followed by an expansion, that would be brutal. That would be a brutal one. So that's something to be aware of. So we have to look at this break-in structure. If Bitcoin smashes the all-time high, yeah, great. But we have to see, to what extent does it smash it? Is that break convincing? Is it a bullish break, a nice bullish break the way we've seen? Or is it just a meaty bullish break? Is it a mediocre bullish break? And if it is a mediocre bullish break, well, that PO3 then starts to play in a lot of traders' minds. All right, so there we have it. That's what the short term looks like. That's what the global term looks like. And obviously, remember, as you're trading these markets, be it spot, make sure you're practicing good risk management. Make sure you're not risking more than 1% of your account, because you want to play the game long enough to be successful. All right. Make sure you're taking profits when you should. Make sure you're setting your stop losses. All right. Make sure you're building these good habits. Well, there you have it. I'll see you tomorrow for some more market updates.